Hi everybody, Jimmy Kane, Hunts Annex Studios here once again with guitar method book author Troy Stetina. Obviously if you're listening to this interview, you're very familiar with his work, but let me give you a brief overview about a man who has authored 35 instructional books and 3 CDs, former Guitar One columnist, former director of rock guitar studies at Wisconsin Conservatory of Music, and currently working with Alter Bridge's Mark Tremonti in the Troy STETINA project, and owner and operator of the Artist Underground, Troy's recording studio. Troy, how are you today, my friend?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks, and thank you so much for being here. Troy, would you please turn back the hands of time for us and take us back to a time in your life, let's say, would you be equus to the position of a lot of the students that go to our music school and got into studying rock guitar?
Well, I guess as a teenager, I had played an instrument in band, and I didn't really have a lot of choice there. It was like, oh, you want to play in band? I was like, yeah, I think I'll play an instrument in band. And it's like, oh, there's the clarinet. Go play that, because that's what they had,
Yeah.
And so I learned how to read music, but after a year or two, I decided, okay, I want to play guitar. So got a guitar and method book and started learning stuff, and got a little bit of a start. Picked up a whole lot of bad habits, and then from there, though, I started listening to, of course, my favorite band at the time was Kiss, and so I started hearing that stuff. And at one point, finally made the leap to say, this Alfred Guitar Method Book 1 just ain't cutting it. I want to learn how to play Firehouse. And so, I started listening to the record, and I started picking the stuff off by ear, and started learning, and eventually got in bands as a teenager. And finally, it's kind of funny, I didn't seek out, like most people, I guess, that get into the instructional side. I just kind of backed into it, and so I started teaching in a music store. And it's funny, the whole band thing kind of hit one roadblock after another for me. But on the instructional and the educational side, everything just opened up. Everything that I did worked on that path, and that path kind of allowed me to, to really stick with it and develop it.
For those of you who don't know, Troy was a 1975 gold and silver medal winner in National Bicycle Road and Track Championships, and again with a silver medal in '78. Would you please explain to everybody about the thing about the cycling and your family?
Well, sure. Yeah, my older brothers were on Olympic teams, and they're in Cycling Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So my whole family, this is what we did, and I was the youngest in this family, so I didn't really have much of a say. It's sort of like, oh, here's your bike, go ride. So, it taught me a lot, though. It taught me about persistence toward a goal. It taught me about, sticking with things and what it takes, to win, basically. Winning was always fun, I have to say. Didn't always win, accidents and stuff too, and all that. But the competition aspect was fun. The only problem I had is I really never really. I did the training, that I needed to be competitive, but I never really liked it.
Right.
And so when I was make a choice, at some point you have to make a choice as to what you're going to really do. You can do anything, okay, but you can't do everything. 18 kind of had to, and you got to choose what you really want to excel at or be best at. And I got to a point when I was 18 where I realized, I had just missed the Junior Worlds team, and I was thinking, is this really what I want to do? I mean, because I'm going to have to buckle down and do this big time. And I was also playing music on the side and in bands, and I just said, you know what, music is what I want to do, and I went that way. And but it was a good, I guess, mental training in a lot of respects.
Mom is a musician, correct?
Yeah, my mom was an opera singer, and for a lot of years, and I grew up listening to all that, in the house. And it's funny because, it's really interesting. She's much older now, but she had a lot of this stuff, her lessons and her performances recorded. And she came up recently to my studio, and we transferred this and edited them onto CD. And so I was listening to all these things that I haven't heard for many, many years. But I remember all of it,
Cool.
from having heard it. And I started noticing that I think a lot of the sense, of melodic sense, and the push and pull and of phrasing and tones, where they're leading and how that works, the sensitivity to it is built by listening. And I think that listening to a lot of that stuff really helped broaden. I didn't even know it at the time, but I think it does. It all gets in there, everything you listen to.
Sure. And how did, when there's this heavy vibe in the house, this expectation that you're going to be a cyclist, and you're cruising around with your Les Paul and your Kiss Alive album, how did that go over or not? And
well, it didn't go over well. My mom had bought, she was supportive of the musical thing, but my dad didn't see the light, so he, when she bought the guitar, the very first one, I brought it home and it was like, what the hell is this? And, she said, well, it was half price. And it was like, God damn it, why didn't you buy two of them? He didn't see any sense in it at all. And then later, he came around later, and became very supportive and all. But there was a long time where he didn't. And I remember him leaning in the room sometimes when I was practicing, saying, hey, at the race this weekend, you're going to be the best guitar player among all those cyclists out there.
Oh, wow.
Basically telling me I'm wasting my time and I should get with the program and do what's important. And I said, yeah, and you know what? I'm also going to be the fastest bicycle riding guitar player. So
how
I don't know if that's true anymore. I can tell you I haven't ridden the bike for a long time.
How did you internally cope with that? Because, this is an issue that does come up when mom or dad is writing the check to study, and it's just what you're saying. This is sucking up all your time and energy, and it's usually dad. Unfortunately, dads, I apologize to you who are listening here, but it's usually the dads.
Yeah, they have an idea of what they want, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't get that Cahill Gibran message of, your kids are really not yours. They are their own people. And still, of course, every parent, and I'm a parent too, think you know best for your kids. And you want to save them from the struggles of the world. But, the truth is that everyone needs to learn their own lesson and follow their own voice at some point. And, if the parents push it too hard, what they think is right, you end up, worst case scenario, you end up the Dead Poets Society route, or what generally happens, though, is you end up, someone ends up not believing in themselves, and they go and they do what society and what their parents expect of them, and then when suddenly if they succeed, they suddenly find out life feels empty because they didn't do what they wanted, or if they don't, then they're depressed, or they got problems. I think what's the point of a life lived for somebody else? So not every not all parents are that heavy-handed about it. Yeah, but every parent obviously has some level of even if it's only in the form of expectations and hope.
Right.
But everyone has to sort that out and decide how much they want to really pursue their own vision. And and I've had, this is probably one of the biggest issues that I'm asked about and that comes up because it's something I've struggled with, because I've had a lot of success in music, but let me put it this way, I haven't done everything that I want to do by a long shot.